The more that we tell ourselves that we're incapable of doing what we want to do or achieving what we want to achieve, the more we put that thing out in front of us in an inexistent future that will never be able to manifest itself in our life. Because it turns out that the one prerequisite in bringing these things into our life is believing that it's possible. Now, when I say that, it may sound obvious at first, that obviously I have to believe it's possible to get these things in order for them to happen, but a lot of us don't act as though that's the truth. A lot of us don't act from a place of realizing that in order to get all these things that we want, the first thing we got to do is believe that it's possible. A lot of us don't realize that even though we want all these things, we have a way of thinking, feeling, and acting that goes completely against the grain of bringing those things into our life. Now, what if I told you that, you know, when you look at a celebrity or somebody who's doing something that you aspire to, somebody that motivates you and lifts you up, and you see them and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. It creates this weird effect that they're like way up here and they're this very special, capable, powerful being that has this unique thing or ability that you don't have. And you see them and, man, I wish I could do that. That's so cool that they do that. But what if the only difference between you and them is that they believed it was possible to do that? They believed that they had what it took. And the reason you're looking up at them, notice the quotes there, you're looking up at them is not only because you've pedestalized them, but the reason you've pedestalized them is because you don't think you can do the same thing. But the only difference, I'm telling you, is that they believed that it was possible. And that is the first step in manifesting into our lives that which we want to bring into it, is believing we have what it takes. Now, the way the universe works is that when you want something, let's just use a New Year's resolution for an example. That's something we can all probably relate to, where we've all at one point had a New Year's resolution and we wanted to do this thing. We had this goal to stop doing this so much, or to start doing this, or to let go of that, or to be more like this, or whatever. We all had this goal in mind. The New Year's happened, and the New Year's resolution is actually what it is an excuse in disguise for us to grant ourselves the permission to do what we could have always done. But because it's the New Year's resolution, and the idea of the New Year's is to create a goal, that gives us fuel, that gives us motivation to do what we could have done at any given point. So New Year's happens, we have our goal, and we feel that momentum, we feel that inertia of motivation, and so we start acting on it. But then, what the universe does is it's almost like it tests you. It says, how bad do you really want it? I'm gonna give you a setback. Let's say you want to start going to the gym once a week, or twice a week, or whatever it is. So you go to the gym once that week and you feel great. You feel great not only because you're going to the gym and it's good for you and it feels good, but also because you're acting on the goal that you want to bring into your life. And you feel completely alive. You feel on fire. So you go to the gym that one week, and then you go the next week. And then third week, the habits of our minds start to reassert themselves. And you hear in your voice when it's time to go to the gym, you hear inside yourself, I don't really feel like going. I could just hang out. I could just watch TV or scroll or go hang out with my friends. I'm tired. I had a long work week. I don't feel like doing it. It's okay if I miss a week. That voice is the voice of our past patterns of action that keep us locked in that way of being that we were trying to break free of when the new year came. Now, what that is the universe asking you, as I said, how much do you really want it? And what we need to be willing to do is when that voice comes up, that doubtful, low enthusiasm voice, when that voice comes up, we need to be able to recognize that as the voice of the past. That voice is not who you are now. And it's in realizing just that allows you to continue on with manifesting that which you want to manifest. So when you hear that voice, when it's time to go to the gym, and you hear that voice, I could miss a week, It's no big deal. I'm tired. I had a long work week. You need to be willing to say, listen, okay, I understand that that's how I used to be, but I have a goal. And I understand that in realizing that goal, in actualizing that goal, what's required of me is to sort of override those patterns of thinking. And so what you do is you go to the gym anyway. And you go to the gym anyway, and when you do that, that teaches your body, that teaches every aspect of your body, physical, mental, spiritual, that even when you feel like not doing it, that's not enough to put you down. Even when you doubt your capabilities, that's not enough to stop you. And as you continue acting in that fashion, you begin to completely rewire your being, in realizing that negative feelings and negative thoughts and feelings of doubt or lack of motivation are not enough to stop you. And your goal and realizing that goal is more important to you. Now, what makes manifesting our goals and our dreams so hard is this very testing of the universe. Let's say you want to be an artist and you paint crazy good stuff. You make some really good banging art. But you've never shared it. You've never put it out into the world. You just have a room in your house dedicated to all your beautiful hard work and passion of creating this art. And then you get the inspiration to want to share this art with the world, whether it's just to share the art with the world or to make a living for yourself off of this art. So you start to kind of dip your feet in the water a little bit. You post it on your social media. And then it happens. Somebody hates on it. Somebody criticizes it. Somebody says, that's not that good. Somebody says, I've seen thousands of paintings like this. You get criticism. Now, the normal way in which we respond to this sort of criticism is when the outside world says that's a dumb idea, we go, oh yeah, right, that's a dumb idea. Here, I'm gonna go back to pulling back within myself like a hermit crab because I can't face the criticism of the world. I would rather be approved by the outside than go forward with my dream. When the outside world criticizes us, it scares us. And we see it as a sign that what we're doing is wrong. But see, once again, it's the universe testing you. It's saying, how bad do you really want to be an artist? How much do you really have the courage and the discipline to plow through the criticism? And it also just so happens that the more you put yourself out there, the more criticism you're going to get. It's called polarization, where when you be you, when you act in truth and authenticity of who you are, it's going to cause people to come up and they're not going to like you. They're not going to like what you're doing. When you've lived your life for years as a just low-level, boring, surface-level person that doesn't express their passions, that doesn't speak up, that doesn't pursue what they want, that keeps everybody around you all happy because you're not polarizing them. But then when you stand up and you say, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to release my music. I'm going to be, like in this instance, a content creator. People start to get all disgruntled. It bothers people. It bothers people because to them, it's representing a threat. It's representing a threat that you're willing to step up and be who you know you can be. And all it is a test. All it is a test. And you need to be willing to plow through that and carry on steadfast in your dream. The way our minds works is our life, our external life right now, is in complete accordance with the story we're telling ourselves. Let's think about finances for a moment here. It's wild. It's wild. The circumstances of your life are in complete accordance with the story you're telling yourself. Where the state of your life, you don't feel the way you do because of the state of your life. The state of your life is the way it is because you feel the way you do. That's precisely the way it works. And it's a complete roundabout way of thinking. That the reason your life is the way it is because of the way you've been thinking, feeling, and acting. And were you to change the way you're thinking, feeling, and acting, you would change the world. You would change your entire life. When you reorient and readjust the framework of your thinking, It's a profound thing how the universe will start to rearrange itself to equalize with that level that you're resonating on. Have you ever noticed how the example I often use is I have my job. I go to work 4 days a week, full time, and I go to work, and when I'm in a good mood, I love my job. It's fun. I love my coworkers. I love what I do. I get in a flow state. I'm passionate. It's fun. I have a good time. But then, when I get into a bad mood for whatever reason that may be, I don't like my job. I don't like my coworkers. I don't like what I'm doing. I have so many other things that I'd rather be doing. Now notice how it's the same environment, but a different perspective. And all that's going to show you is how it's your perspective that's creating the lens through which you view the world. And the lens through which you're viewing the world will, in time, transform your life. Now, to bring back up, as I mentioned a moment ago, the finances thing, let me ask you this. What if the reason you're poor is not because there's no money in the bank, but the reason there's no money in the bank is because you think you're poor? This was profound when I realized this. Because you go back to your childhood. You didn't know nothing about money. You didn't even know what money was. You had no discernment of what it meant to be rich or poor. And then, being raised by your parents, it's oftentimes that our relationship to money years down the road is sort of similar and congruent with the relationship our parents had with money. So if you're raised in a household where money's tight, money's hard to make, society sucks, I can't make enough money, I'm struggling, I'm stressing, I'm barely making ends meet, you learn that, and that becomes your first relationship with money is, oh, it's hard to make money. I'm barely making ends meet. Things are tight here. This is hard to make this money. And so what happens is you grow up, and then you get your own job, and the attitude, the relationship you have with money is that it's hard to make money. It's hard to make money. And it's profound the way it works, where what you believe is what will show up in your life. So the reason you're poor and the reason you don't have the money in the bank is because you're coming from a mindset of scarcity, a mindset of lack. And notice, what came first? Was it the lack of money, or was it your relationship to money? Your parents' relationship to money should realistically not have anything to do with your relationship to money. But because you were raised in an environment where you were taught money is hard to get, money is scarce, it's hard to make money, you bought that. You bought that as an attitude, as a story you're telling yourself about money, and so your body and the way you live your life follows suit with that attitude. Where now you're going to seek out that which equalizes with the reality that you're resonating on. So you're going to get a job that doesn't pay you well, or when you make money, you're going to spend it. It's wild how what we believe, we will sabotage and change the outside to fit the narrative we're telling ourselves about it. You think about somebody who says, I always attract toxic relationships. I'm always finding toxic partners. Now, where that stems from is obviously in the past, they had a relationship and it was toxic and it didn't work out well. And they started telling themselves, I always attract toxic partners. I can't. It's always toxic. And then you get in a relationship and it's good, and then it turns toxic and sour, and so it reasserts that story you're telling yourself. I always attract toxic partners. But then a healthy partner comes your way. And because the healthy partner is unfamiliar to the story you've told yourself of what's possible in a relationship, you do what's called self-sabotaging, where it's healthy. There's not a problem in the world in the relationship, but because it's so unfamiliar to you, you begin to get nervous, you begin to get paranoid, you begin to think something's wrong here. They're not being mean to me, they're not abusing me, they're not manipulating me, they're not treating me poorly, something must be wrong here. And what it does is that changes the vibration that we're resonating on, and it causes us to begin to act in ways that manifest that toxicity. Where what's toxic is not your relationships, but the cycle of thinking that you have to all the relationships. So you're in the healthy relationship, and it's not toxic, but you're so used to thinking in the framework of I always attract toxic partners and all my relationships are toxic, that you begin to superimpose that toxicity onto the relationship. And then you create tension, you create conflict, you create drama, and because they're a healthy individual, they leave. And you say, see, everyone always leaves me, it's always toxic, it's always toxic. But what we're missing note of is that the reason that healthy person left is not because it was a toxic dynamic, but because we believed that it was toxic. And we believed that it was toxic to such a powerful extent, we imposed it on the situation. We are like a self-seeking system. My mom has this beautiful analogy she shares with me of how if you're saying to yourself, I'm looking for a partner, I want a partner so bad, every cell in your body goes, okay, I want a partner, I want a partner, I want a partner. Now, the level of I want a partner, I want a relationship is not the level of having a relationship. So you go about your day and every little ounce of your being is on the level of I want a relationship, I want a relationship, I want a relationship. So what she's saying in sharing this is that when you live on that level, you keep yourself in the vibration of want. And wanting is not having. Wanting is not being. So when something comes your way and you're so used to wanting it, you're not used to having it. You're not used to having it and you don't know how to handle that energy. And we don't like the unknown. We don't like the unfamiliar. We don't like change. That's what's so hard about the New Year's resolutions and with that, goals as a whole for that matter. Achieving our dreams is we don't like the change that takes place when we begin to pursue our dreams. Or if we're used to not having a partner but wanting a partner, when a partner comes into our lives, that's so unfamiliar to us that it feels weird. It feels weird. Every bit of our body, the cells of our body, and the story we're telling ourselves is not used to having. We're used to wanting. If you tell yourselves, I'll never have enough money, I never have enough money, I'll never have enough money. Your cells, like my mom says, your cells go, okay, we'll never have enough money. We'll never have enough money. So then you get a job that pays you better and you blow all your money. You blow all your money because we are in every moment equalizing our attitude and our reality to the story we're telling ourselves about everything. If you think, I'll never be physically fit, well, why would you go to the gym and get physically fit if you don't think you'll ever be physically fit? This is why I'm stressing how important it is that to believe that it's possible prior to it even being a thing. Because the belief in it is the most important step. It's the first thing that needs to take place in manifesting it. You believe I'll never be physically fit. Why the hell would you go to the gym if you don't think you're ever going to be physically fit? Wouldn't you rather just sit on the couch and keep eating food and living in that unhealthy way? That makes more sense with the story you're telling yourself. And it just so happens that's what a lot of us do. I'll never have a relationship. I'll never be physically fit. I'll never be financially stable. I can't achieve that. Only those kinds of people can achieve that. And see, as I was stating in the beginning, when we do start to believe, you know what? Maybe I will find a relationship. Maybe I do have what it takes to get physically fit. Maybe I do have what it takes to start my own business, to achieve my goals. You start to feel that fire within you. And that fire, what it does, the way it works, is it gets you up and it begins to completely change the way in which you act in the world. But then, as I was stating in the beginning, the setbacks happen. The criticism, the lack of motivation, the doubt. It's the universe saying, how bad do you really want it, baby? How bad do you really want it? And when we're not used to responding to that conflict with the attitude of, listen, I know that there's going to be setbacks, but I'm going to keep going because me achieving my goal is more important than me setting back and believing in the conflicts that are arising, in the criticism that's coming my way. When we're not used to that, when the criticism arises, when the doubt arises, when the lack of motivation arises, we believe it and we take it as a sign that we should have never started pursuing our dreams and we go back to the old way of being. I remember a few years ago, there's a very close family member of mine and he's somebody who can tend to be very negative and cynical and dark and yucky. And he was in a really dark place in this moment that I'm about to share. And he said to me, something needs to change, Devon. And then he's like, I need to get a tattoo or go get a new truck or something. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind. Now, why do you think it blew my mind? The reason it was so moving to me and disturbing to me is because he didn't realize that what needs to change is him. He thought that by getting a tattoo or a new truck, everything would magically be better. Everything will be awesome now once I have a new tattoo or a new truck. But he didn't realize that the reason he feels like everything needs to change is from the attitude in which he's responding to life. It's his attitude that needs to change. Now, in the philosophy and practice of manifestation, the one thing that's stressed the most is to feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled prior to it actually happening. Now, the reason this is because if you can sit down and feel the joy of being in a relationship, for example, you feel the fulfillment, you feel the satisfaction and the contentment and the abundance of having love in your life prior to the person actually being there, you begin to think, feel, and act in a way that is in harmony with that energy. So you're walking around living your life fulfilled. You're not walking around wanting and needing. The energy of wanting and needing is repulsive. It pushes things away. It pushes opportunities away. It moves it all away from you even further. It's like a magnet on an opposing end. When you bring them to each other, it pushes it away. But when you flip that energy around and you can feel the joy of fulfillment now, it begins to completely change your energy. You ever noticed how somebody who you see them and you may consider them weird or different or like a little bit eccentric and just weird, but nevertheless they're like happy and they're joyful and they're content and they don't have a care in the world about what other people think of them? And there's almost something attractive about it. There's something inspiring about it. It motivates you. It draws you in. It's magnetizing. Because they're so firm in how they feel that nothing makes them budge. They don't care what people think of them. I remember going to a concert a few years ago, and this performer, she was on her game, bro. She was killing it. She was performing. It was beautiful. She had this huge crowd out in front of her. She was doing it so well. And I remember I felt threatened. I felt like, wow, that's really somebody. Whoa, I could never do that. But then that feeling of being threatened, that feeling of being inferior to the energy that she was embodying, it transformed into passion and inspiration. And I realized that energy she's on is only threatening to the part of me that doesn't believe I can do the same thing. And when I believe that I'm capable, that energy that she's embodying becomes inspiring and magnetizing. It's profound the way in which your energy dictates the path in which your life plays out. If you can feel the joy now and feel the excitement now and the abundance now, you will begin to act in ways that bring it into your life. Now, manifestation, when we talk about manifestation, it often has this like spiritual woo-woo connotation to it, and you know, in the past I used to think that manifestation was like kind of cheesy. It was like, you know, the spiritual practices I associate myself with are about sort of getting rid of the desires, because it's the desires that are getting in the way of my fulfillment now, and wanting all this stuff isn't helping me feel fulfilled. And then when I would hear about manifestation, it's like, why would I want to manifest everything I want? But see, manifestation isn't necessarily about getting everything you want. Manifestation is about living on a level of fulfillment now. And the woo-woo part of manifestation is the law of attraction. It's this mysterious force at play in the universe. It's called a law for a reason, where when you feel fulfilled now, when you live from the place as though you have what you want, and you act from the place of having what you want and being who you want to be, your life begins to completely rearrange itself to align with that energy you're on. Our life is like a shadow being cast by the story we're telling ourselves. To bring back the being poor analogy, you're telling yourself money is hard to make. I can't make enough money. I'll never have enough money. And so the universe says, oh, okay, you'll never have enough money. Here, let me make that a reality for you. And even if the money comes your way as some sort of fluke or outlier, you're not going to be able to handle that energy, because having all that money isn't congruent with the story you're telling yourself of, I'll never have enough money. So you get all that money and then you blow it. It's like somebody who wins the lottery and then in 2 years they're broke, bankrupt, and addicted to drugs. It's because the level that they were living on inside wasn't able to match the energy of having all that abundance. You haven't leveled up your software. You haven't leveled up your hardware to be able to handle that level of abundance. Or somebody who says, I'll never have a partner, I'll never find a relationship, and then a relationship comes their way, and they're so unsteady with that reality that they destroy it. They push it away. They think it's weird. When they get it, they don't want it. They don't want it because they haven't leveled themselves up to the energy of having, of being fulfilled now. And that's the most important thing we can do, is to live, to spend our time fulfilled now. Because when you spend your time fulfilled now in whatever it is that you want to get, when it comes to you, it's not this crazy pedestalized experience. It's normal. It's called increased importance, where if you think having a partner will make everything amazing and oh my God, I want a partner so bad, when the partner comes your way, you're going to get so nervous and so unsteady and so uncomfortable. Oh my God, it's here, it's here. How do I keep this? I don't want to mess this up. What should I say? What should I do? How should I act? How should I? All this nonsense, because you're so used to living on the level of not having the partner and resonating on that energy that when the partner comes your way, you don't know how to respond to it. And so you push it away because you're not used to that energy. But if you live your life in fulfillment and contentment now, and then you want a partner, but you decide, you know what? I'm going to feel content now. I'm going to feel fulfilled now. I'm going to live my life the way I would if I did have a partner. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to live my life doing what I want. When the partner comes your way, there's not a clashing of energies. It's normal to have that person in your life. It's normal to have that level of abundance. If you really want your own business or you really want to make more money, the idea is to live as though that's the truth right now. Because if you don't, when the money comes, it's going to be so unfamiliar to the energy that you've been living on that you don't know how to handle it, and you destroy it, and you sabotage it, and you push it away. Achieving what we want to achieve and fulfilling our dreams comes firstly in living as though it's the truth now. When you can, right now, you can sit down and you can imagine, you know how you think back to something in the past that was horrible and you feel all the emotions of negativity as though it's happening already? That's because it's said that the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. And you can go and you can sit down right now and you meditate in such a way where you feel the fulfillment of having that relationship, or you feel the fulfillment of being financially stable, or you feel the fulfillment of being physically fit, or being an artist or a content creator, or whatever it is. You can sit down and arouse those feelings within yourself. Now that alone shows you that bringing that energy into reality doesn't depend on it coming to you from the outside. It's something that you can grant yourself the permission to feel right now. And it just so happens that feeling it now is the first step in actually creating it on the outside. It's a profound way that this works, where your life is equal to the story you're telling yourself. If you're telling yourself, I'm incapable, I don't have what it takes, I'll never get that, you're not going to get it. Remember being a kid when you were like thinking in a negative way and your parents or whatever would say to you, well, not with that attitude. You'll never get it with that attitude. And you didn't really like to hear it? Well, it turns out that that's the truth. If you think, I'll never have a partner, not with that attitude. I'll never have a business, not with that attitude, bro. I'll never be happy. Yeah, definitely not with that attitude. Why would you? How would you even know how to bring that into your reality if you don't even think it's possible? I was talking with somebody just the other day, and they were saying, I had made this video about self-love and loving yourself. And they started talking about how I'll never love myself. I've never loved myself. Anytime I love myself, I just get criticized by everybody, and it just drives me back into the reality of not loving myself and all of this stuff. But see, the block there is the story, I'll never love myself. If you believe I'll never love myself, well, you'll never love yourself. What it requires, what it takes in transforming ourselves is to transform our minds. You change your mind, you change your life. It said when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you're relating to your life will begin to transform and rearrange itself to harmonize with and align with the story you're telling yourself. So it's so important to pay attention to the story you're telling yourself. What do you believe? How capable do you think you are? What habits are you allowing to run your life? We are creatures of habit, as it said. We don't like the change. And it turns out that we would rather be uncomfortable and suffering, but at least know it, than we would to step out of our comfort zone, therefore allowing for the potential and possibility of a change in our life, but maybe not feel so comfortable during it. We prefer our suffering a lot of the time. We prefer our incapability. We prefer our insecurities, not because it's awesome, but because it's what we believe to be true. And when we're living in accordance with what we believe to be true, there's a sense of comfort in that. The way I've often described it on the channel is the ego doesn't want to thrive. The ego wants to survive. And in order for the ego to survive, it's going to try like hell to keep you in the familiar. But staying in the familiar is the opposite direction of bringing about change in your life. Change is not familiar. It's change. It's the unknown. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what the next step is. You know that moment when you were like a kid and you were learning how to ride a bike and you got up and you tried to ride and you fell, and then you got up and you tried to ride and you fell, and you kept falling again and again and again, and then all of a sudden you didn't fall one time. And you realize, oh my God, this is absolute ecstasy. This is amazing. This is so beautiful. Or like learning how to swim. What you were used to was not being able to swim. But then all of a sudden you can stay afloat and you know how to swim. And it's the most beautiful liberation of energy because it shows you have what it takes. Now, I shared it in my last video that I'm not going to be living here much longer. The universe is moving me out of where I live and is forcing me, sort of against my will, but also not really, to find my own place and to get my own place. And although there's a lot of fear, the fear is there from change and the fear of the unknown and not knowing what's coming and am I capable? Do I have what it takes? Even though there's all those emotions, I also feel such a powerful degree of excitement because I've come to know within the past few years now that it's inside of the medium of change and unknown that the greatest transformations of myself have taken place. The most profound change in my life takes place. The most profound transformation in my life takes place in the medium of the unknown. The unknown is like the womb of creation. The unknown is where all possibilities are manifest. It could go either way. What if it goes horrible? But what if it goes way better than you could have ever imagined? Transforming our lives starts in not only believing that it's possible to transform our lives, but stepping out of the unknown. Stepping out of the known. Stepping out of your comfort zone. Because your comfort zone isn't very comfortable, you've probably realized. Your comfort zone is just familiar. It's just familiar, and there's a sense of comfort within that. But that comfort doesn't translate to well-being, to happiness, to fulfillment. Your comfort zone, more often than not, is such a lower level and vibration of what you're capable of. And what's required is to step out of that, to trust in the universe, and to believe you have what it takes. You have what it takes. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. All that needs to happen is for you to believe that it's possible. Because when you believe that it's possible, you begin to act in ways that inevitably bring the manifestation of that thing into fruition. That's why when you're happy, you act in ways that attract more abundance in that way. When you're negative, when you're upset and angry and all you see is that which is equal to the reality you're on. You see what you are in the world. When you're happy, you act in ways that elicit more happiness. And when you're negative, you act in ways that elicit more negativity. That's why it's so important to pay attention to the energy that you're resonating on. So if there's anything I want to emphasize for you guys in this video, it's that you have what it takes. You have what it takes. But what's needed, what's necessary in manifesting that which you want is to, first of all, believe that it's possible, but also realize you need to step out of the comfort zone a little bit. You need to do things that you hadn't usually done. Because the dream is a little bit different than who you're used to being. The dream is a little bit different than the story and narrative you've been telling yourself of who you are. So you need to be willing to completely transform who you are. You need to be willing to step out of that comfort zone a little bit and start to play with the idea that manifesting your dreams and achieving your goals is possible. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. And also, before I go, I do want to mention that if you like this video and if you watch my channel and you resonate with that content, I'm offering completely free coaching sessions right now. It's 1-hour sessions on Zoom. And if you want to talk with me personally about something that you've got going on, go to the top of my YouTube channel and you'll see a link that says Beta Coaching Program. And it's inside that link that you'll find everything you need to book a session with me where we'll talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. So with that said, if you like this channel, before you click off, leave a like, subscribe if this stuff resonates with you. And thank you all so much for watching.